Hey, and we're back to Under the Covers podcast. Excited to be here, and this is going to be a really good episode. I'm super excited about this one. I've been excited about this for the very since the very beginning.
Yeah,
Because it's a hell of a band.
yeah. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Charlie,
I'm Nick.
and yeah, we're under the covers, and we're back for an episode that this was probably one we wanted to do from the get go, like Nick mentioned, just because it's the cover band is both one of our favorites for sure.
Yeah, I would put this band as probably my number one. Definitely number one in our modern time frame, or in our lifetime. I know I
Yeah,
like the Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, and those sorts of things, but grew up with this band. And but here on Under the Covers, what we do is we pick a song. It's usually a very well known song, and we listen to the original, and see what we like, what we don't like, and then we compare and contrast it to a cover version of that same song, which is obviously sometimes popular, sometimes not. This one, in this case, it's probably the more popular of the two.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's
and at the end, pick which one we like the best.
mm-hmm.
Pretty
We don't talk
straightforward.
about yeah, and we don't discuss. We pick the songs together, like we have a list, but we don't discuss what we're going to talk about or which one's our favorite. It's sometimes
Right.
it's a surprise at the end.
Yeah, we've had some surprises. I was surprised about a couple of them that you've had a couple earlier, and I know that I found out that you hate Blink 182, so forever. So
I don't hate the band Blink 182, but that version, yeah, yeah, no, that cover's bad. But yeah, I was surprised. I think on yours, for sure. I think you picked Taylor Swift on one. Sturgill Simpson. I was surprised
yeah,
you didn't go with Nirvana on that one. I
yeah,
was surprised at myself for picking T Pain over Black Sabbath. But it's all about
that was the
right here, right now.
yeah, yeah. And this week we've got a little old song called "Hard to Handle," originally written by
Hmm.
Otis Redding. And if you guys haven't picked up on this yet, the cover version is by the Black Crows. So
Yes, the
we've
Hard to
seen
Handle by the late great Otis
like
Redding.
yeah yeah wah wah wah. So how many times do you think you've seen the Crows?
I think I've seen them in the teens, probably high teens, maybe low 20s, but definitely not as much as you.
Yeah, I I, I was thinking about this. I'm above 20. I'm probably below 30. Um, but it was you know, seeing them was they. I didn't follow them around or anything, but it was just
Hmm.
they happened to be in places that I was traveling to a couple times, few times, and um, but man, they were a killer band.
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, every time we saw them, it was like, God, I really love this band.
yeah, yeah. No, they put on an amazing live show. It's always different. Like you never get the same show. You might get the same songs, but it's always fun, and they always find a new way to kind of jam out to a song without getting too noodly or
Yeah,
whatnot.
and last year was the 30th anniversary of Shake Your Moneymaker, which Hard to Handle came on, and they did the
Hmm.
album all the way through. And I tell you, man, I I like all their songs. Let me say this: I like hearing all the different songs they do, like not just the singles off their record. Um, but man, that album, start to finish, is a rocker for
It
sure.
is. It is. It's amazing. Were you at the show in Chicago? I know Sean was there when they did War Paint all the way through.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Okay. I thought so. Yeah, not one of their better. I don't It's fine.
yeah.
There's some songs that I don't necessarily like, but at least that album doesn't have soul singing on it. Can't stand that song to this day.
You can't, man. It was so funny how that song just grates on you.
But no,
But
last summer that show was awesome when we saw him in your town there. That was a
yeah,
fun show.
It was, except for the encore was God's Got It. I mean, I could have done with not that song. Um,
Yeah,
so, but
that's one of the non-bangers from Warpaint for sure.
yeah, yeah.
And then,
Well,
but I did see the Chris Robinson Brotherhood,
oh,
without you. So
well, great.
uh,
Is that concert actually still going on? Because don't they just noodle around for 88 minutes on each song?
I enjoyed them. But yes, they did noodle quite a bit. Even on their studio albums, there was some 14, 15 minute songs.
Gosh, yeah, and you know, the thing is, I like jams. I just don't like noodling, and this is where my love hate relationship of like Grateful Dead comes into play, or some more jammy type bands where if it's just like the same thing over and over again, it gets into an area where I call it noodling. Where the Crows, especially in their sort of prime when they were jamming, it was going somewhere, it was doing something, it wasn't just the same thing over and over again.
Hmm.
But no, and then this last week, the Black Crows had their first album released in is it 10 years? It's been a long time. I don't know when they're.
Yeah, 9 or
I don't know
10
when.
years.
Yeah, yeah. So it's Happiness Bastards.
Happiness
How about
bastards. I
that?
like the way you said that. You're just like happiness bastards.
Because we're a
Yeah,
positive
that's
podcast
that's
here. We're not going to say the word.
that's a very I got the album too. You got it I got it on vinyl too, but I bought it from Amazon. They did a pre-release, and it was like
Yeah.
orange vinyl. So I just figure, why not? I'll buy it on Amazon. Not support my local businesses.
So
Sorry,
it's
local
funny.
businesses. I tried.
Well, here's a fun fact. Not to say I'm better than you or anything like this, but I ordered off Amazon as a pre-order to get it, but then I went to the local record store and they had a listening party, and I meant to cancel my Amazon one, but I didn't, and it was already shipped. So I actually have two versions. But what was cool about the local record store, it was Canandaigua Record Exchange. Um, I won a little notebook, little Happiness Bastards notebooks, and they gave me a
Nice.
bunch of oversized guitar picks.
Oh,
Trust us and
sweet.
never trust. Yeah,
Sweet. I
like
didn't realize they were oversized. That's cool. That's
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Just
and
decorative picks.
yeah, and I guess I'm in the running for a to go to any Black Crow show I want to. I assume that they
Oh,
have already picked the winner, so I don't think I'm winning. But yeah,
hey, who knows?
maybe. Just fingers crossed.
Maybe.
Maybe Richie Robinson's going to be listening to this and be like, yeah, why don't we pick that guy?
I can't believe you called him Richie and not Richard.
I could
You're
have called him
usually
Dick.
so you're usually so formal.
No, me and Richie are pretty close.
Okay. And yeah, I know you guys did like make eye contact once, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
I
mean,
just
we did. I forgot about that. I wasn't even going to tell that story, but now I gotta. That was the most fanboy moment I've ever been. I literally I was starstruck. And for those who need to know this story, we were actually at Eastern Michigan University.
hmm.
It was the Lions album, wasn't it? It was a Lions tour,
Yes.
the Black Crows, and we had gotten there right up front. Oh, there was no alcohol sales because it was at Eastern Michigan. So because we were there with a high school friend who was actually going to school there,
Hmm.
and so there was the four of us, and Mindy, my wife, was getting hot because it was just everybody was packed in there and had to go to the side of the stage towards the end of the concert to get out of the heat. And so I went over there with her, and I was like, "Gosh dang, I'm gonna miss the encore." And so she sat down, and some paramedics saw her sitting down and said, "Hey, you got to get out of this. We got to do medical attention." And she was like, "No, I'm really fine." But they took her, and I'm like, "Well, you're not taking her without me being there. I want to make sure she's okay." So they took us actually kind of backstage or this back area, and they're giving her some water, and everything's fine. And the band's doing their encore, and I'm standing there, and I look over to my left, and it's the two backup singers are standing 5 feet from me. And my
Mm-hmm.
Mindy had always said she wanted to be a backup singer, and so in my head I thought, oh, this will be very nice to cheer her up and say, hey, honey, here's the backup singers. And as I was saying that, it dawned on me that I must be in the pathway of where the band is. So I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to get the opportunity to see my heroes here. So I was like, stay down, babe, stay down, babe. You don't look so good. The paramedic's like, you're an asshole. And so the song gets over and the band starts walking back. And so first it's Audley Freed, Steve Gorman, and these guys are super tall, by the way, had strikingly tall
Mm-hmm.
folks. Eddie Harsh, rest in peace. Yeah, yeah, wah, wah, wah. He walks by, and then Chris Robinson and Kate Hudson go by, and at that point, I'm like, my eyes are just, big as headlights. And then Rich Robinson's walking by, and I'm like, I jump out like, wah! Like, I forgot what I even said. It's like, you're my like, guitar hero or some stupid shit that I couldn't even think of. I was like, I just got to shake your hand. And he shook my hand, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I haven't washed that hand since that day. And it's really gross at this
Nice.
point. So
I bet. I bet. Is that why you're always
nah,
sick?
that's why I'm always sick.
No, that's
So
fun, man. I
yeah.
I scared, I scared a rock star once too. So, um,
What rock star did you scare?
John Butler from the John Butler trio. Of I think he's more famous in Australia, but he had some fame here. But anyways, one time when I was living in Chicago, Natalie and I had gone to a show, and before the show, like we were walking, and we saw him walking down the alley, and I wanted to say hi, but he was probably like 20 feet away. So I was kind
But you
of,
said
so I kind of did
instead
the
you
whole,
said, "Give me your wallet."
yeah. So I did the whole fanboy thing. I was like, hey, wait. And he kind of did a whole like, oh shit, what's happening? And I was like, it's okay. I just want to say hi. And he was cool enough to stop and shook my hand. And it was kind of creepy because he plays the banjo and lap steel and everything. But instead of like picks, he either let his fingernails grow and like trim them into like claw looking
Raise
things, or had fake fingernails on because yeah, he had like
John
razor
Butler's got claw
fingernails.
looking things.
Yeah, but it was fun.
He's
It
a
was worth it. I didn't get arrested. He didn't. He shook my hand. It was all good. But
he's got Thundercat
yeah,
hands. That's great.
also yes, exactly. And speaking of needing medical attention at a Black Crow show, I think both of us needed medical attention at one show in Chicago.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, I
well, maybe not
literally
the
just told
medical
that story.
attention, but we
I
we
needed
were
a
at a
memory
was it a Halloween show,
revival.
I think, or was it? Yeah, yeah. We got
I think it was
roofied
a. I think it was a. I think it was a
by
regular show.
yeah. It was probably I think it was a regular show. It wasn't a Halloween one, but yeah, we were up there pretty close in the pit, 15 rows back or so, in the general admission area, and people were passing stuff around, and we partook, and after a bit, I was like, "Hey, Nick, I gotta go to the bathroom," and really all I wanted to do was like go lean against the wall because the floor felt like it was tilting too far, and yeah, I just kind of went and chilled for a bit. I think I went up. It was at the Riviera, I think maybe. But anyways,
Yeah.
they had an upstairs place because it was an old theater, and I just kind of went and chilled against this big pillar and just kind of watched from the balcony. And I don't know what you ended up doing, but at the end of the night, we got back together and we were like, "Oh yeah, it was amazing. The whole thing was great." And then it was about 24 hours later where because they used to
The
record
album.
the shows and release the soundboard recordings, so we got it. And as we're listening to it, there's like this hour-long section that neither of us remembered, and it took us about a day or two to admit to each other that we couldn't remember. And Yeah, it was likely because of whatever we happened to partake in that night.
Yeah, it was a wrinkle in time for sure. I don't remember a bit of that. And I did. I went off to the side of the stage and leaned against a wall like a bum, and and yeah, I was like, it's the longest song ever, and I think it was like 4 songs. So,
I don't yeah, that was a lost night, lost hour of that concert for sure.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, we've gone pretty hard in the paint already here. Do we have a
Oh,
sponsor
yeah,
this week?
we do have a sponsor. Yeah, we'll get into that before we talk about the actual original artist of the song. Again, we both love the Black Crowes, so thanks for putting up with us on that.
Oh,
We'll have more talk later on that, but in the meantime, we are sponsored tonight by Upgrade Your Love. Are you ready to level up your love life? Introducing Upgrade Your Love, the dating app where passion meets infidelity. You may already have someone, but what if we told you there's someone out there who can love you better than him? Upgrade Your Love gives you the power to explore connections that will light your candle. Once you use our app, you'll come running back for more. With our discreet messaging feature, you can philander to your heart's desire. Upgrade your love. Don't settle for drugstore loving. And
don't settle
they
for drugstore loving.
they were actually super kind and sent a jingle for
Oh,
for the app as well, which
oh,
I'm
this
sure
will
they'll put on some TV commercials too. But if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and play that now because they paid us to play
they
it.
they paid us, so you can do it
So here
anything
we
you want.
go. Enjoy.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
Let's celebrate.
Drugstore loving. Let's sit there. That's I tell you, they got some high production quality there. I thought we did well. No, the 1980s hair band. Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good tune.
that was it's a good tune. I've listened to it a bunch. I was surprised how it was a pretty good rocking song. It reminded me of that. Oh God, now the band's slipping my mind. Was that Canadian rock band, the trio? God, what's their name?
Rush.
No, no, like the more recent one. It might come to me. It might not. But
I'm gonna go up to your sister tonight and be like, upgrade your love. She's gonna be like, what?
so yeah, that's an app for cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's bound for a Super Bowl commercial. We're gonna have to we're gonna have to really get our Patreon going here so we can get them to the top. So tonight's
So thank you,
record
Upgrade Your Love.
is
We appreciate
for-
your support.
thank you for I was gonna say I wish I could upgrade my love, but I don't. I mean, I don't want to, but now I kind of want to get the app. I mean, I did one time download the Match.com app trying to hook up with our buddy Sean, which
but not you
for those that don't
personally,
know,
right?
I don't know if Sean
you were
even knows
catfishing
this.
him, right?
Yeah, I was doing everything I could. And that was 6 months of hard work. And all I wanted to do was message him and be like, let's meet out for a drink or something like that. And as this person, this girl, and then show up, and he would have been like, oh, what the hell are you doing here? And not knowing that it's me because I was so sly to. But when I paid for the premium account and Mindy saw that on the bill, she's like, "What's going on here?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just trying to hook up with Sean." She's like, the worst person I have ever met. I'm like, "I love you too, honey."
God. And he never swiped right on you, unfortunately. I said he never swiped right. Yeah.
No, but there's a lot of dudes that swiped right on me, and that was very awkward to turn down so many men.
Well,
sure,
if Mindy,
I'm not
if
sure
Mindy
if this
ever
part's gonna. I'm not sure if this part's gonna make it in the final episode because I'm not sure if that's technically illegal, and I don't know if I don't know what sort of. It's. I mean, it's not like I called somebody a slut, so.
It's true. When I edit, I'll have to Google, is it legal to catfish someone and not be successful?
Make sure you do that in private mode.
Yeah, I won't use my work computer. Actually, who am I kidding? I will use my work computer.
Is it illegal to catfish somebody? I'm pretty sure I know the answer to that. I'm not sure if it's just, I mean, but that's just regular people, not your best friend, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's got to be legal. They got to have like rules written in the
yeah.
the side notes of the law.
I mean, except for your best friend. As a joke, ha ha ha, fuck you, Sean. So the king of soul is Otis Redding.
King of soul, yeah. Gosh.
I remember when I hatched this plan. We're playing cornhole in the backyard, and he had just slipped that he was on Match.com, and I'm like, oh, giddy up. I mean, I wanted that party to end so fast and him to leave so I could join Match.com. That's all I could think about for the rest of that thing. All right.
So Otis Redding was definitely
All right. Otis Redding is the king of soul in 1968.
Take a deep breath. Yes. And his flame, his star burned bright, real fast, real hot, and goodness gracious. He was... You just laughing about...
I can't stop. I'm doing everything I can to stop laughing. Yes, his stars burned very bright.
So Otis Redding wrote "Hard to Handle."
Yes, he did,
and also sang it.
He also sang it. Yes.
Yeah. Where was Otis Redding born from? Born in Alabama or Georgia?
Rural Georgia in 1941. Yeah. And he left school when he was 15 to support his family. So that was, he said, no, I don't need to know math and spelling. I just need to love gospel music, and I want to change the world. So he did. He first worked with Little Richard's backing band, the Upsetters, which was, going through this, I didn't realize how much Little Richard actually, did. I know the songs, but man, he had lots of, like, Jimi Hendrix was in his band at a point. You know, obviously Otis Redding. Um, just super influential guy in himself.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's
Yeah, I didn't really realize how big of a I knew he had a big influence, but just on the individual musicians that a lot of people know, everybody knows, it's crazy. He did have a lot of influence.
right. And one thing that I think Otis Redding did, as he progressed on, he always said he was from the cotton fields and made it to stardom. But he had this quote that I thought was pretty impactful, and it said, "Music can be a universal force, bringing together different races and cultures." And he personified that thought. He
Hmm.
always had a racially mixed band. He had a white manager, and actually founded Jodis Records to advance the careers of black musical artists in the South. And you know, uh, one of the quotes that says he was a role model and was someone who got paid well and paid well himself. And so he was an an artist's artist, um, and he was a hell of a good one.
Hmm. Yeah, and to think that he died at the age of 26, but to do all that beforehand is it just blows my mind. And I had this thought earlier before we were recording, and I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and I just realize how many people do so many things when they're young, and I haven't, but
Mm-hmm.
it just blows my mind to like think about all these people that changed culture so much are half my age, or when they
Oh
did
yeah,
it, like when I was in my early 20s, I was just drinking and going to school, like not a care in the
yeah,
world. And yeah, it's
yeah.
amazing what talent can do, like real talent.
Oh my gosh. And he did. He he was commercially successful. He was a businessman. I mean, he knew what he wanted, would go after it, but also that hard work ethic was always prevalent. In 1967, he sold more albums than Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin combined. So again,
Wow.
just massively.
That seems kind of like the heyday of the Dean Martins and Frank Sinatra era.
Yeah. Um, and that, like I said, he made a lot of money. He had a large working ranch and two private planes. And he was a busy guy. He would often, while he was touring, just stop at a local recording studio and crank out a few songs here and there. Didn't have a lot of albums, but he had a lot of singles and B sides. Which
Hmm.
Hard to Handle was the uh, B side to the single Amen. Um, and because of this, actually, a lot of his songs have the dreaded fade out because
Hmm.
he would have a hook and some verses, but not really think about the ending. So almost a lot of his songs literally just fade out at the end.
Hmm. Yeah, I read that a lot of his tracks were, or a lot of his songs were recorded in one take
Yep.
because he in between all the other work he was doing and as far as touring and everything else, he would just go into the studio and be like, "All right, I got these 20 tracks. We're gonna put them out in 2 days. Boom, I'm a gone."
Yep.
And so they'd just be a lot of live one take. Okay, good to go. And then yeah, and then unfortunately when he passed away so suddenly,
Yeah, yeah. Wah, wah, wah.
a lot of the ones that they may have gone back into the studio and done some tweaking to, just never got done.
Right. Right. Well, you say that, tragically, as we all know how that went, on December 10th, 1967, one of his twin engine Beechcraft airplanes crashed near Madison, Wisconsin, which was a major loss. And the
Hmm.
crazy thing was, just 3 days before that, he had recorded "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay," which is probably highly regarded as one of his most popular songs that he ever had.
Uh,
So what a loss. Hard to Handle was recorded in 1967 at Stax Record with the house band, and Isaac Hayes actually played on it. So yeah,
and members of Booker T and the MGs.
yeah. So and a lot of the lyrics were sort of ad-libbed and only roughed in when they went and recorded this. So the timing of it, which is a happy accident, not a happiness bastards, but it's a happy accident because some of that, like those late entries into the, verses and choruses and stuff, and some of that delivery where you're kind of thinking it off the top of your head and trying to like catch up with the tune, that also comes off as some of that soul and some of that, edginess that you want in rock and roll. So yeah, it was
that impromptu, just this is what it is. We're just playing here, man. We're having a good time.
We're live, baby. I mean, we're live. Let's go. It's like me cracking up for 15 minutes on Match.com shit. So,
one thing I did want to point out before we get too deep into this song, particularly, is that I hit my mic stand. I just wanted to point out that I could do that.
I'm on the edge of laughter, so anything you do like that is going to put me over the top for about a minute.
Earlier, you had mentioned the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
And, when we started talking about jam bands and everything, I never realized until I was doing research for this episode that the Grateful Dead actually opened up for Otis Redding.
Oh, my gosh.
At the Fillmore in San Francisco in December of 19. The Grateful Dead had a lot of respect for him. Pigpen.
Yeah, oh, man. He
really loved Otis Redding.
Yeah, he did.
And so they would actually cover this song until Pigpen passed away, and then the Grateful Dead was like, out of respect for him, stopped playing that. But then I read that they played it twice with Etta James once, and then the Tower of Power horn section.
Nice.
But yeah, so it's crazy the amount of influence that Otis Redding had on so many different genres of music in such a short amount of time, and people and cultures.
Right. Yeah, that's and he did. And again, one of the things I love about us doing this podcast is, you'll listen to the song that we're doing, but start diving more into these artist catalogs. And Otis Redding was one of the ones that I started digging deep in, and I had been doing a lot of traveling, so it's great to listen to him and something different to have, going through your account rather than just the same old. So, but the song is short, 2 minutes and 21 seconds, and it has 119 million spins on Spotify. It's a blues number, and I think that I love just about everything about it. We'll talk about it obviously after the song, but gosh, it's sold to me. And I can see why the Crows. I can see why they picked this up for their own album. So maybe we should give it a listen, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Let's give it a spin.
But I gotta think about it. Nah, I guess so.
Yeah, I'm ready. We'll be back in a few.
I was holding my
breath. There'll be a little
there.
interlude here. We can't play the song. Go ahead and listen to it and come back to us when you're done. That's a hell of a fun song.
Dude, that is. I wish I could see him actually recording that because the
Mm-hmm.
inflection of his voice is it's so funky. But the little nuances when you everybody needs to listen to it with headphones on because you hear all those
Mm-hmm.
nuances that you don't get when you're just listening to your car or whatever. It's just yeah, it's killer.
Yeah. Yeah. You can just imagine recording this in what, Tennessee, in a freaking hot studio
Oh yeah.
in the 60s, and just everybody just feeling that energy, and you can hear it in his voice, just that raw power that he has or
And
had,
it's
excuse me.
and there's these little during the verse there's these little falsetto lines that he hits at the very end. I mean, I don't it's almost like a squeak in his voice, but you really got to pick up on them. And again it's that delivery that he had that hard-hitting funk, but he also had, you think of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay and that soul,
Mm-hmm.
going back to back. And shit, man, for parts of this song, he actually overdrives the vocals. So he must be sitting there really right on top of a mic, using everything he's got in vocals to just hit those notes hard and do it fast. I think they only did 2 takes here, so you know
Yeah.
that was
Yeah, you hear that
1 or 2.
soul and that power, and but yeah, and like, but you also hear just like a smooth, buttery, soulful vocals. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's powerful. He's got that passion.
one of the things that I think is interesting too is I'm gonna talk about the line, the pretty little thing. Let me light your candle, cause mama. Now I'm sure hard to handle now. In the Crows version, it's like it goes right through, right? And when you read that line, you read it as one big long line. But when you hear him sing it, it's not like on beat. He there's a lot of different speeds to it, like pretty little thing, let me not your candle now, because he goes fast and slow all the way through there to make it like go and start. And but it's a hell of a line because of how that pentameter is delivered. And when we talk about the Crows version, I'm sure we'll get into that. But I love the way he says it. He says it on the backbeat where I think Chris Robinson's more on the front foot of it. So
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you there. It's a powerful song. It's, and I think a lot of his songs are shorter like this. It's not
yeah,
like, the soul genre went into a bunch of jams necessarily or anything like that. But yeah, to pack such a punch in 2.5 minutes, it's
yeah.
excellent.
And they get right to the point. I mean, it's like Kool-Aid, man. It's not the whole. It's not like he didn't put water in it and put it in the thing. He just is like, no, this is a packet of Kool-Aid. I'm going to give you all the shit right in the beginning. Even the piano doing the riff right in the very beginning. There's no drums. There's no nothing. It's just going, hey, we're going to give you the riff right here. This is what the song's all about.
Hmm.
We're going to get right to the vocals at the end there. I'm going to do a little scat vocal, and then we're out. Drop the mic.
Yeah,
Let me go get on my Beechcraft
yeah.
and fly to Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh boy. Um, but yeah, the way he just comes
Oh
in
boy.
when he, oh boy, when he delivers that first line, when he comes in with "baby," it's just like, oh, yep,
Oh yeah.
pay attention. I'm singing to you. You better listen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not sure if this is probably a transition point here, but when you get down to these brass tacks to cover a song like this, I mean I mean you're saying something too. I mean, and Chris Robinson was saying that whenever he sang this song, he was doing it in the aspect of knowing that he was never going to be Otis Redding. He was never going to
Hmm.
do it as good as Otis Redding. He was doing it as a tribute to Otis Redding, probably as a tribute to the Grateful Dead too, because I know they really love Grateful Dead. Um, but they gave this song some hell, man. I think they did a hell of a job at picking a good one on a hell of an
Yeah.
album,
Yes.
uh, and
Yes.
making
A
it their
hell of a
own.
debut album.
Oh my gosh, 1990s Shake Your Money Maker.
Yeah.
First
I got
first
the
CD I ever bought.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think I remember you telling me that. And Thick and Thin when it starts out with a car crash.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, how you had it cranked up and you thought somebody actually crashed a car in your neighborhood or something.
Yeah, yeah. Y- Yeah, no, I bought my first CD player in Shake Your Moneymaker from Whitmark in Muskegon, Michigan, and in
Nice.
the parking lot. So I got my CD player, I got my headphones, and I dropped the disc onto the CD player because we were going out of the parking lot, and the little spindle in the middle of it scratched She Talks to Angels and Hard to Handle. So I couldn't listen to those songs. So I liked all the other songs on the album, but I hardly ever listened to Hard to Handle and She Talks to Angels because of the skip in the CD.
Nice. And this is the original cover, which is a
Nice.
definitely a cool rock and roll band cover.
Oh
Everybody's
my
looking like
gosh.
dark and sad and angsty. But up here I got that.
Dark, sad, and angsty.
It's like, so this features the original cover of Hard to Handle. The album I put up here is like a B-side, an alternate takes vinyl, and it's got the one that they actually have horns in it as well, which I can't remember. I should have looked it up, but is it the Dirty Dozen Brass Band that recorded with them on that, or is that just they've
I
done
don't
some
know.
live stuff with them? I can't
Yeah, I don't
remember.
know. I would say it's probably not the Dirty Dozen there because
Yeah,
just
I
because of
think they just
timing.
did some live stuff with them.
But the Black Crows, when recording Shake Your Moneymaker, they had a true all-star team working with them. I mean, they got signed, and
Hmm.
they were gonna look. They were gonna be a big deal, and the record company knew it. So their producer was George Dracolius, I think is his name, and he was the first hire of Def Jam Records. Produced Tom Petty's Last DJ, and a bunch of other records as well. He wanted the song and this record to be a lot like Aerosmith because at that time I mean that was a band that was huge at that time. They also was recorded by produced by Rick Rubin, who's probably one of the greatest producers of all rock and roll producers of all. No, strike that. One of the best producers of all time.
Yeah, not just rock and roll.
Yeah, because he's
But
all over the place. In the '80s, Beastie Boys, Slayer, Run DMC. '90s, Tom Petty, Nine Inch Nails, Sheryl Crow.
one
2000s. Go ahead.
oh, oh no, I was going to say one thing I did read was that Rick Rubin was not credited on the sleeve until the album became successful.
Yeah, yeah. What a jerk face. But when you got like Rage and Shakira, Metallica, Kid Rock, Eminem, Ed Sheeran, I mean, the guy in his entire career touches everything he touches is gold or
Yeah,
platinum.
and in all different types of
Yeah, everywhere.
genres.
I mean, there's a documentary or a special on Netflix, I think it is, with him and Paul McCartney going through, their Beatles catalog and how it was produced. Their manager at this point was Pete Angelus. Well, he's been their manager the whole time. He was known as the fifth member of Van Halen, basically, made them who they were. And
Hmm.
then the engineer on this album, and he played a potpourri of instruments, was Brendan O'Brien. And if you were anybody in the 90s, you wanted this guy to be working on your record in some way, shape, or form in terms of sound and sound creation. So he did STP's Core, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar, Pearl Jam's 10, Soundgarden, Super Unknown, Rage Against the Machine's Evil Empire. Dude knows how to make freaking,
Holy wow!
yeah, like this guy knows how to engineer. And on the Black Crowes version, plays all the guitar solos. No big deal.
Nice, nice.
So the readers of Rolling Stone named the Black Crowes as the best new American band of 1990. So they, like I said, they came in hot. They came in ready. Um,
Hmm.
at this point, you know, they were sky was the limit.
Yeah. Also on this, Chuck Leavell played the keys, keyboard, piano, and everything on this album. and that dude's had his
Yep.
hands in so. He's basically been with the Rolling Stones for a long, long time, but he's done stuff with John Mayer, David Gilmour. I mean, George Harrison. So yeah, to have all that freaking star power and talent on your first album, like how?
Yeah. Yeah. And Chuck Leavell, look, if he is probably the best rock and roll pianist ever, of all time. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
or like you were saying there, the things that he's been on, if you like, he played on Jessica with the Allman Brothers, and dude, the Allman Brothers have a guy that can play keys in the Allman Brothers, and his name
And his name
actually
is
ends with
Alvin.
Allman, and they're like, nay, I think we should get Chuck Leavell to do this. But fun fact, my boss actually was just on his property down in Georgia, doing some hunting. So it was a cool time
At
there.
Chuck Leavell's property?
Yeah, I thought I told you this.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, he might be a part of one of our films actually, which would
Oh,
be kind of cool.
sweet.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I'm going on that. I'm going to record it.
Yeah,
I don't care, give a
yeah,
shit. Bring my Sharpie markers.
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So so yeah, this album came in with a head of steam. Hard to Handle was I believe the third single. I got a little mix up on what was first, second, and third. I think it went Jealous Again, Twice as Hard, and then Hard to Handle. Um,
Okay.
but you might know better than I.
No, I did not research that or write it down, and I don't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah. Um, but man, start to finish, top to bottom, there's not a bad song on this album. And
No.
uh, last year when we saw the Crows here in Canandaigua, we took some friends who were probably less than casual fans. Knew some of the hits, and I think when we all walked out of there, I think Ray was like, "Holy shit!" I mean, that
Yeah.
that album and that first set doesn't stop at all.
Yeah. Yeah. They're a great band. I mean, they're popular, but I know, like we've said multiple times, and it's probably pretty obvious. We're fanboys. This is our one of our favorite bands, if not our favorite. But it's kind of a surprise that they're not more popular.
Yeah, you know, the one thing I would say is, if I have to kind of reel in the argument against the Black Crows, is they captured the sound of a generation of music that is known as classic. Okay, they sounded like the Faces, they sounded like the Rolling Stones, they sounded like a
Yeah.
lot of these bands that people look at as the greatest bands of all time. And I think when they get compared to a band like that, I feel like people maybe would look at that as they aren't authentic. But over time, you have to realize that, as if you go from Shake Your Moneymaker to Happiness Bastards, and you listen to that catalog and it all sounds sort of like that, then I think
Hmm.
that authenticity grows. And I know, my dad, my uncles, and when it was in the heyday of the Crows, they were sort of resistant of the Crows.
Yeah.
Now that time has passed and we're 20, 30 years, in the making, now they're like, well, shit, those are some good jams, man. I mean, but it's 50 years from the Faces, and it's 50 years
Yeah.
from the Stones. So
So, yeah, and as you were saying that, it kind of made me think the influence from both of our fathers, basically, in the music that they listened to. But then this was our music.
yeah,
It sounded like theirs, so it was like, see, Dad, we're cool too.
you're
But it
exactly
wasn't
right.
their music. It was our generation's good music.
It,
you know.
you're exactly right. I think I liked the Black Crows when I first heard this album, because I wanted to prove to my dad that I found a band that sounded as good as, the Sticky Fingers here, or
Hmm.
that type of thing. and I wanted him to be like, holy shit, this is the sound. I mean, this is a band that you can get behind, and look, the Crows were huge for a couple few years, between this and Southern Harmony Musical Companion, which is another album, start to finish. That
Yeah.
shit. I mean, if
I
you don't,
I think I like, if I'm gonna rank them, I think that's higher than Shake Your Money Maker for me
yeah, oh yeah,
personally.
yeah, and the thing is too is you listen to them now, they hold up. Just as Sticky Fingers holds up, just as
Hmm.
Ooh La La holds up, just as these other classic albums. But man, they took hard to handle. And, and if there's somebody or some type of band that could do it, it's the Crows. Rich Robinson. Well, let me just say this. I think it starts with that backbeat. I think Steve Gorman is actually the foundation of this song because of that groove he can hit, and this song when you hear it, when we listen to Otis Redding, the first thing they did the riff, right, which was the piano riff.
Hmm.
The first thing you hear on this song is this huge bass hit of Steve Gorman's drum, and
Yeah.
that groove is infectious. And then from there, you got great guitars, and then you got Chris Robinson, who's probably the blackest white guy singer you've ever heard because he knows how to just deliver the goods.
Yeah.
He does it all the way through the song, I think.
Yeah. He does. And the music video is something I also rewatched recently, which I hadn't seen in a long time. It's basically a lot of kind of sound check visuals of them on stage, some concert footage, and then a lot of like Chris Robinson singing while a bunch of people in, I'm assuming, Georgia dance, like kids and old men and people just kind of dance. And
Nice.
it's kind of fun. It feels kind of genuine. I hope
Oh
it
yeah,
was, and I think it was at the time for sure. But it because it brings it's a soul song that they made their soulful rock and roll song, and so to have all that real life footage, and again it's late '80s, early '90s when they recorded this, and so I think it's a fun video to watch along with
right.
the song too.
And when you come back down to it is genuine because Otis Redding being a Georgia guy. I mean, this is a home court
Hmm.
dude.
Yeah.
It's like Kid Rock doing Grand Funk. It's like this is who we are. This is where our roots are. And at 3 minutes and 8 seconds, it's a little longer. By about we got about a minute longer. Yeah, a little less than a minute longer. And oddly enough, there's 218 million listens on this, which is just about double, of what Otis Redding's were. I thought there would be a bigger gap. I thought there would be more to it. But
I agree.
but I guess there's a lot of people listening to the Otis Redding version. So
Hey, which is great.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Growing up, I wasn't exposed to a lot of Otis Redding, so I didn't realize this was a cover when I was a kid listening to this song.
yeah.
Um, I just straight up, I didn't know for a while. I mean, I was probably in my late teens by the time I realized that.
So it's the one thing I think before we go into to listen to the song is that the line that we were talking about, the "Hey little baby, let me lie," that whole thing. I didn't know what all those words were for a long time, and I was just kind of mumbled them in the car because I just wanted to get back to that beat. But it's he delivers it perfectly. So I think it's time we give it a listen, man.
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Show enough.
I was gonna come out of here doing that same thing. I should have done it right when you could have harmonized.
Oh my gosh. It's
Wow.
first of all, I'm gonna say love the Crows, love the band, love everybody that's in it. Thank goodness for Brendan O'Brien for playing those guitar solos because they kill it.
Yes, they kill it. And thank goodness for Chuck Leavell. And goodness gracious, everybody, like we say a lot, listen to this song in your headphones, because if you're just listening to it in your car, you've got pretty much everything kind of tuned up or cranked up above the keys. But if you really, really listen to it, like they're not that hard to hear if you're really listening, but just all the crazy little fills he's got and just everything going on in it. It's complex. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
It is. It is. And I'm gonna go on record here, because that's what we're doing on a podcast is putting everything down and out there. Is Rich Robinson to me is in the discussion for greatest rhythm guitarist of all time. I know you
I
get
agree
James
100%.
Hetfield, you get obviously Keith Richards, which is I don't think anybody's ever going to really get there, but gosh dang, those riffs are just in the pocket, between him and Steve Gorman, just fucking just dialing it up.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you layer in awesome vocals, which by the way, Chris Robinson's vocals on this are a little lower than what you would think. I think people remember it because it's what you hear and what most people are listening to, but there's a lot of it's a little bit compressed in the mix. But man, he knows how to do it.
Yeah, he does. And to your point earlier with Otis Redding pushing his voice, Chris does it here too. There's a couple oh yeahs and things that he just kind of breaks on. You can kind of
Yeah,
hear it, and I think that's in tribute, and I'm sure that's why they left it in the mix. Was it's just like this is a tribute to Otis Redding, and I'm giving it my all. I don't care if it doesn't sound perfect. It sounds like it should.
it exactly that's where, and what you just said there is a mouthful. Where I think rock and roll's kind of gone. That is that I'm disappointed in is that people try to make it to perfection and with auto tune, Pro Tools, redoing stuff over and over again, overproduction. When you strip that away, you lose that heart, that soul, that
Mm-hmm.
funk, all the things that make it have that feeling with when you're trying to go for perfection. This song isn't perfect. There's things that with his voice. There's times it's off. There's times that you know things happen, but that's what makes it rock and roll. It's like live on the
Mm-hmm.
edge,
And I think that's why a lot of people are drawn to live music as well.
right?
Even though we love the albums, we love the way they sound, but when you go to see it live, like you're experiencing their true talent and what it is live right there with everybody else, and that's what rock and roll is about. I mean, it's
Yep.
just yeah, it's fun, and that's why this cover version is so well done. It encapsulates what Otis Redding did
Right.
back
Right.
30 years before they recorded this, or
Yeah.
25 years, whatever.
And I'm going to add on that about live music because I just watched the Taylor Swift live airs tours with the family, and it's really great. There's a ton of
I
production.
You don't have to lie. We know you watch it by yourself.
I watched it by myself. Um, so, but the thing is there's a production quality of it that is over the top, and it's great because it's a huge show. But I also don't feel like any musician out there pushed it to the limits. And when you and I've seen the Crows the 30 times, there's times I've watched them where I'm like, this thing isn't gonna work. They're gonna mess this all up. But it felt like they were putting it all out there. They were giving everything they had to their technical ability to do it, and that's what's fun to me watching a band. Like
Mm-hmm.
seeing them live. That's why I like live local music. That's why, we've gone and seen the Crows that many times, is because they put it all out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, and you're right. This song, this whole album, I mean, go to the next song of this album. I think it's Thick and Thin. There's a car wreck right in the very beginning because that song feels like it could fuck up at any minute.
Yeah,
Well,
I think we should maybe vote on our song here.
there you go. So who's up? I
Um,
think it's you.
yeah, could be. I don't know. Last time we didn't vote. That was a fun episode, by the way. I hope
That
I
was a
hope
fun episode.
people listen to it and enjoy it. Speaking of listeners, I did want to shout out my friend Heather. She's a devoted listener, and we haven't called her out. I haven't called her out yet, so appreciate you,
Nice.
Heather. She even
Thanks,
put
Heather.
our sticker on her car.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah. So,
Nice. Nice. Well, why don't you go ahead and
but
give your say, and we'll go from there.
so back to my point earlier, I honestly didn't know this was a cover until probably 5, 6 years after I heard the original. But still understanding and knowing who Otis Redding was, and I appreciate his version. I love it. Love that he did it, because if he didn't, Black Crowes wouldn't have wrote this song. I mean, they may have
Right.
written something similar, but his soulful. I mean, the Black Crowes may not have been a band without him. Like we
Right.
talked about his influence and everything. So I truly appreciate Otis Redding's version. It's amazing. It's great to listen to. The passion and soul that he puts into it is amazing. But I do have to go with the Black Crowes here with their tribute to his song. Like Tenacious D says, this is just a tribute. It's not actually the greatest song in the world. The Black Crowes version it's not the greatest song in the world necessarily, but it's my choice for the winner this week.
Oh my gosh! I just cued it at the same exact time, like perfect on my motions. Um,
Nice.
I wasn't sure if I was going to hit it because I don't know where your gong of decision actually is, so I wasn't sure when you're going to hit it. But um,
It's
I can say
hidden.
the same thing. I fully respect Otis Redding and everything he's done for music, and um, but I'll say this: I cannot even fathom how my life and appreciation for music would be radically different if I never heard this band or this song. I remember hearing this song
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that I wanted to go to Whitmark, buy a CD, and have this one be this band be the band I wanted to listen to. So I've loved the Crows for 30 years, and so I'm going with the Crows on this one for sure. So bang the gong. I love it.
By the way, is Whitmark's the one that had the stamps, the green stamps, or was that Steckety's?
I don't know. I don't even know
Okay,
what Steckety's is.
I'll I'll have to. That was another local store. I'll have to ask around, but they used to have these stamp books. You could get these little green stamps you'd lick and stick them in the books, and eventually you build up enough stamps to get some for free. Um,
Wow.
but
Whitmark
Nick
was
was
like
local.
a Whitmark. I think it was a bigger chain. But
Okay.
you went through a showroom and then you would check out, and then they'd have this conveyor belt where all your shit would come out.
Oh God, I don't remember that happening. So didn't we
It
grow
was
up in the same town?
yeah. I think it was out by J.C. Penney, the old J.C.
Uh,
Penney.
Okay. Oh, out in Norton Shores. I didn't make it out there too much when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, our family ventured very far, all the way across town to Norton Shores. We were like, fill up the car, get an oil change, throw some blankets in there. Never we going to Norton Shores. So anyway,
Wow,
I love it
this
that
is fun.
there's probably some person in like New Zealand that's trying to figure out exactly where we live. So there's like, oh, I'm gonna type in North Shore. Pretty soon they're gonna like triangulate exactly where we've been in our lives.
I hope
Cool.
so. I hope so. Because, um, gosh, I haven't looked in a few days, but let's see if we got any more international listeners. Sorry, this might be boring for some of you, but it's exciting for us,
It's
or at
at this
least for
point.
me.
It's at this point you can tune out of our podcast while we look
Yeah,
up our listener account.
it's
But
just the bonus. This is the Patreon stuff. No, I
This
don't think
is
we got any new countries. We got France and United Kingdom,
oh
Italy, United Arab Emirates.
wow.
So those might be some new ones. Thanks for
I,
the new
I
listens.
I've never heard of any of those names on our or countries on our chats that we've had, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah. So I think we've got some new countries. We truly appreciate it. And again,
uh,
we appreciate the continued support from our Patreon subscribers, Heather and Matt.
and I'd appreciate everybody that's listening to just keep it on down low that I was catfishing my buddy. I'm not sure if that's where the legal realms of
Uh,
that are.
nah, I think it's good. I think it's good. Sean probably doesn't listen, so he won't. He still
He'll never
won't
get to
know.
this point.
No. Yeah, he'll stop listening after we ring the gong. Um, but no, we
Uh,
truly appreciate everybody who listens. One thing that really does help is liking an episode, leaving a comment, subscribing to the podcast. Even if you don't listen again, if you just want to give us a subscribe, just to help us out, we truly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Um, but we'll continue doing this because I hope we do because I really enjoy it.
I do too. I really do.
Even if we have 10 listeners, it's just fun talking to my brother.
There you go. There you go. All
So
right, buddies. Well, we're I'm gonna call it a night here. This is one of our longer episodes at an hour and 16 minutes. Probably a little editing here and there, so it'll be a little shorter,
yeah,
but we're good. We'll cut out the whole catfishing part and
no, I won't. That's stay it in.
and me laughing for 5 minutes. So
All right. Well, we love y'all.
we'll talk to you.